Hello and welcome. My name is Abdullah Makkouk and I will be explaining today the Cisco ExpressWay MRA solution. Let's start off by explaining what this product is. This product provides Jabber with the ability to connect to its CUCM server without the need of VPN. So basically in the old days we always needed to connect to corporate office through VPN and then open up the Jabber application for it to function. This VPN subnet needed access to CUCM for signaling and also needed access to all other voice VLANs in the corporation for RTP. This was clearly a security concern, and that's why Cisco had provided us with this solution for Jabber VPN-less connection. As you can see in this figure, the solution consists of two parts or two servers, Expressway C and Expressway E. Expressway C is the control and it is deployed in the voice VLAN, whereas Expressway E is the edge and it is deployed in the DMZ zone. So basically how this solution works is that the two servers will create a tunnel in between, allowing traffic in between them, and they will both act as your transparent proxy for voice. So if you are out here on the internet and you have a Jabber client connected, this Jabber client will be directly connected to the CUCM server through the help of Expressway C and E. When you are connected, you can see on CUCM server that your Jabber client is actually registered with the IP address of Expressway C. So on this kind of deployment, Expressway E has one single IP address. This is called a single-legged deployment. The public IP address of the server is statically NATed to the DMZ IP address of Expressway E, and the communication actually in here happens on the public IP level. So Expressway C will not talk directly to the DMZ IP address of Expressway E, whereas it will talk to the public IP address of Expressway E. This is because Expressway E has one single IP address, so it will communicate with this IP to the internet and also to the voice VLAN. This creates a problem with SIP because the payload is always coming from the same IP address. This will create a one-way audio problem. So as a workaround, you will need to allow Expressway C to communicate to the public IP address of Expressway E, and by default the firewall will block such action. So you will need to also configure the firewall for Nat Loopback. I will drop the link in the description below that will help you or that will guide you through the configuration of Nat Loopback on the firewall. Because not all firewalls support the Nat Loopback feature that we talked about in the previous slide, this solution comes in handy where Expressway E is deployed with two interfaces. One is in the voice VLAN and another in the DMZ zone. In this case, Expressway E has two legs, and the communication between C and E will happen on the voice VLAN level. Also, the public IP address of the server will be statically NATed to the DMZ IP address of the server. Not all companies have firewalls. There are some small business companies or a big company that is deploying this solution in a branch office that do not have firewalls. So this solution comes in handy where Expressway E, you can deploy it in two different VLANs, in the voice VLAN of course, and you can create any other VLAN, call it public VLAN, call it DMZ VLAN, call it whatever you need. You will also of course need to route this VLAN out. So if it's a core switch, you would need to create an SVI for it, or if it's a router you can create a sub interface for it. The communication between the servers on this scenario happens on the voice VLAN level, and the public IP address is statically NATed to the Expressway E DMZ IP address. After choosing the deployment scenario that best suits your environment, you will need to ready your environment. First of all, let's start by DNS configuration. We will need internal DNS records, A records and SRV records. The A records are the Expressway C A record, Expressway E A record, and we will need an A record for every CUCM server in the cluster That's the publisher, subscriber, and every other subscriber server. If you have CUPS or IMNP, you will need also to create its own A record. We will have 2 SRV records. This is an important one, this SRV record, and if you have IMNP, you will need also to add this one. So to create these records on your DNS server, you will need to access the DNS of your server. My domain is currently mukalama.com. We will be using this for testing. You will first need to create a reverse lookup zone. This is used for IP to name resolution. My subnet that CUCM is in is 192.168 and 116. Once you create this reverse lookup zone, you can go ahead and create the A record. CUCM-site B is the host name of my CUCM server, and 192.168.116.50 is the IP address. Make sure to create the PTR, to checkbox the PTR, and click add host, and it's successful. If you haven't created before the reverse lookup zone, it will give you an error that PTR was not created successfully. So you will go ahead and create the PTR manually. After you create the A record of CUCM site B, we will need to create the Expressway C 192.168.116.98. I haven't yet deployed the Expressway servers, but we are getting the environment ready in this section. Expressway E 192.168.116.99. And finally, we will need to create the SRV record, which is under right click, other new records, choose SRV at the bottom, service location, create. It is Cisco-UDS, the protocol is _TCP, the priority and weight keep them the 0, port number is 8443, and the host offering is the A record of CUCM server, so it will be cucm-siteb.mukalama.com. Here we go. We can test it out. This is my PC that we will be working on, and as lookup cucm-sitea.mukalama.com, cucm-sitea.mukalama.com. Domain does not exist. Why is that? Oh, it's site B. My bad. Site B. Okay. As you can see, it is resolving fine. Expressway c.mukalama.com. It's working fine. Expressway E is also working fine. To test SRV record, you will need to set type equal SRV. Execute this command, and then type in the SRV record _Cisco-UDS._TCP.mukalama.com. It resolved fine to the A record of the CUCM. On the external DNS record level, you will need to create an A record of Expressway E that will resolve to the public IP address of the server, and you will also need to create an SRV record that resolves to the A record of Expressway E. These records should be reachable from everywhere on the net, on the internet, and basically you can contact your ISP, or you can create them yourself using the interface of your domain name. So if you have purchased your domain from GoDaddy, for example, you can open up your username and password and navigate to the DNS configuration and create the needed. After that, we will need to make sure that CUCM is ready for the deployment. We will need to make sure that CUCM has DNS configured, and it has also a domain name configured. If you haven't configured these two at initial setup of your CUCM server, you will need to add them later by accessing your server through SSH, the publisher server, and executing the commands I will be showing you in just a moment. Step 3 is change server name to FQDN. This is an optional step, but I found it all over the internet in different guides of this deployment. I personally do not recommend this because it will add a point of failure to your voice network. Basically, if your DNS is down, then your phones are not going to be able to resolve the IP address of their CUCM server, no signaling, and then the voice network will be down. And the last step is that we need to create a Jabber device associated with an end user and granted the needed permission. Let me show you how we can do this. So let's make sure that my CUCM in my lab environment is ready. I will log in. I will first log in to OS administration. You need to navigate to show network, and at the bottom end you can see the DNS details. Mine is configured with a primary DNS and a domain name. If your CUCM server is not configured with this, you will need to navigate through SSH. Let me show you how. You can SSH into the server. And then issue the command set network DNS primary, and then you can type in the address 6100.20. You will then need to issue the command set network domain, and then the domain name mukalama.com. I will just show you the warning message that I was talking to you about. Warning, the database application will break once the domain name is changed. After you have changed the domain name, I recommend you execute the command utils db replication reset all on the publisher server, so you would make sure that the database is synced with all the subscriber servers. Next, we will need to make sure that we have a Jabber device that is created. It has an extension and it is associated with an end user that has the required permission. Let's make sure that everything is in place. Come on, call manager, come on. Okay, you will navigate to device, phones. I have created a device actually. Let me show you how you can create a Jabber for Windows device. You will need to select Cisco Unified Client Service Framework. This is Jabber for Windows. I will call it CSF 600, and I will be configuring it with the minimal needed configuration. Okay. Extension 600. And then you will need to create a new end user 600, password 600 as well. We need to associate this device with the Jabber device we have just created. Okay, then we will need to add the permission to the end user permission. Contains and end user permission, add selected, save. Okay, now Jabber should be working internally in automatic mode. Let's try try that together. Always reset Jabber client when you are changing accounts. So 600@mukalama.com, and the password is 600. And it's working. Just give it a minute. Let's see if the phone services will connect. And yeah, it did. So I can call myself and answer myself. Okay, it's working. Now that we have Jabber working internally in automatic mode, which means that we didn't have to specify any TFTP IP address, it got everything it needs from the domain name. So now we can go ahead and proceed with the Expressway installation. I have the OVA of the product. You can download it from Cisco. This OVA contains everything that you need. So in this deployment you will not need an ISO file. This is not a template file. As you can see, this is a 508 megabyte file. So you will need to log in. I will be deploying this to an ESXi server. I have already gone ahead and deployed the Expressway C server, but I will deploy with you the Expressway E server. They're basically the same deployment. You will need to accept this. Expressway E deployment small. Always in the real environment, in a real scenario, you will always need to check thick provisioning, but I have no space available in this lab environment, so I will be choosing thin provisioning. The network card is this one, and yes, that's it. It will take some time because it's copying off of the network. After deploying the product, we will go ahead and open up the console, and the first login will actually be Tandberg. The password is also Tandberg, or it's admin Tandberg, I think. Admin Tandberg. Yes. Okay, the first use password is admin Tandberg, and there is some warnings, and you will be asked to, if you want to run the wizard, of course say yes. Do you want to change the password? Yes, I want to change the password. This is an IPv4 scenario. The IP address of the server will be 192.168.116.98. Subnet mask is /24. The default gateway is 172.16.116.254. Ethernet speed is auto. SSH is yes, I want to run SSH, and basically that's it. Now you just wait for the server to restart. It will ask you if you want to restart it. Yes. And after the server restarts, you can access it through a web browser. After the server reboots, it will prompt you to log in. At this stage, you can access the server through the browser. We can navigate to its IP address 116.98, and let's actually test the DNS record that we added. expressway.mukalama.com. You might need to add HTTPS. This is Expressway C actually. Okay, it's working fine. It's resolving. We have changed the password, so just log in. This is the initial login. It will ask you which series are you deploying this product for. As I told you that this product can be deployed through all other services, so you can just choose how this product will work. In this scenario we have Expressway, and this is Expressway C. You shouldn't be selecting any of that, so just click on skip service setup wizard. We have 4 alarms, date and time. Okay, when we configure NTP, this will be gone. Insecure password, invalid release key, and NTP. Okay, so basically, first of all, let's deal with this password. This password issue is that by default the root password has a password of Tandberg. So just SSH into the server 192.168.116.98 and access the root account using the password Tandberg, and all you have to do is to execute the command password for Linux and change the password to a new one. That's it. After that, just refresh the page and you have several errors that were gone, several alarms that were gone. Okay, so you will need to configure DNS. System host name is Expressway C. The domain name is mukalama.com. The DNS is 16100.20. NTP is, it can actually get it from its servers, but I don't want it to get to the internet for time, so I will be synchronizing it with my router. 16100, or no, it can 254 is the gateway, which is also running the NTP service. I will keep it to Greenwich. When you get the license from Cisco, you will get a file that contains these PDF files. Basically, these PDF files contains 2 packs, or actually contains 3 packs. Let me break it down for you. File 1 will contain 2 packs, which is license key software encryption, and file 2 will only contain 1 pack. Okay, these 2 you will need to fulfill them on Cisco's website using the serial number of the product that you can find in the overview section. In the overview section, or actually in the option keys section, in the maintenance option keys section, where you will install the product, you will find the serial number of the device, this one. On Cisco's website, you can fulfill the pack on this serial number, and you will then get the release key. Release key, you can enter it in this box and click on set release key to have a valid use of the product. We haven't yet installed the option keys. Option keys are on the pack number 2, file number 2, and I have taken a screenshot of this. When you copy and paste this pack to Cisco's licensing website, you will get such an interface. Okay, you have, as you can see, you have several things here. These 2 have not 1 license but 2 licenses, so when you fulfill, make sure to fulfill only these 2 to the serial number of Expressway C, and all others to Expressway E. I know it's a little bit confusing, but licensing in this Tandberg solution is. After you install the required licensing, the title of the server will say actually Expressway C in here, and in the E it will say Expressway E. This will change according to licensing to option keys, as you can see in this case, the release key is set, and we have the required option keys in the Expressway C and E as well. This is a live environment. I am just showing you. This is my lab environment that we are working on. As you can see, it does not say neither Expressway E or C. It just says VCS base. So it will change after you install the required licensing. Okay, the next step is to generate the server certificate. Server certificates are required because the communication between Expressway C and E happens in an encrypted manner. This encryption is an HTTPS encryption, and as you all know, HTTPS encrypts through certificates. So we will need to generate a CSR, which is a certificate signing request. You need to insert your information. Mukalama is the company, and I'm going to generate the CSR. After that, you can download this CSR. Okay, this is the CSR. I will now navigate to a CA, a Windows-based CA. This is a Windows-based CA server. You will need to navigate to Certificate Authority. I will show you how you can generate a certificate for this server. Right click on the server, submit a new request. You will need to select the CSR. It will be under the pending request. Just right click here and issue. It will be under the issued certificates, and this is number 14. So just go to the details, copy to file, next, select the base64 encoded, next, and just save it. Let's call it Expressway C. And here we go, we have the Expressway C server. We will also need to extract the CA that signed this certificate. So let's copy that, copy to file, base64, let's call it server. This is the CA certificate. Now we have Expressway C and the server certificate. You can just import them in here. Maintenance, security certificate, trusted CA certificate. Let's add the CA, choose file, server, append CA. Here we have it, it's added. Then maintenance, security certificate, server certificate. Let's upload the new certificate in here, choose file, Expressway C, and upload. And certificate expires on 2017. Okay, so we have one year. The CA has signed this certificate and it is valid for 1 year. Next, you will need to replicate all the things that we did on the Expressway C server to that on the Expressway E server. And by that I mean DNS, I mean time, NTP, I mean let's see, what else do we do on this? Of course, security certificates, licensing, everything that we did on Expressway C, just do the same on Expressway E. After that, you need to create a new domain in the Expressway C server. So you can navigate to configuration, domains, and create a new domain, in my case mukalama.com. Make sure that SIP registration and provisioning on Unified CM is turned on this domain, and if you have IMNP, you need to turn this on. Create domain. Next, you will need to go to Unified Communications, configure. make sure that to configure unified communication mode as mobile and remote access, which is MRA, and click on save. Then you will need to configure unified CM servers, add a new, and you need to add your publisher IP address. You can add this CUCM server by IP or by FQDN. I always add the server by IP. You can use the CM admin as the username and password, or you can create a new user on the CUCM server, but you need to grant him super user permission, or actually AXL permission. TLS verify mode need to be off in this case. Unless you have a secure CUCM cluster, then you can turn this on. On Expressway E, make sure that you choose mobile and remote access on the unified communication mode. That is under configuration, unified communication, and configure. By default, I think it is off. You need to configure it with the mobile and remote access. Just choose this and click on save. On Expressway E, you will need to make sure that IP connectivity is configured correctly. To do that, you will need to go to System, Network Interfaces, and IP. In here, you can choose between one single interface or dual interface, depending on the design that we looked at earlier. So in this deployment, I have chosen yes under dual network interface. You can see if you choose no, there is only one single interface that you can configure. In my case, it's two interfaces, external and internal. External is 117.99, and it is currently static netted. Note that when you have a static net in place, you will need to put in this field as on and place the public IP address that is being used in this field. Obviously, this is not my public IP, but I have changed it to stop one of you guys from attacking me using DDoS. So other than that, LAN 2 is the internal interface that I'm currently connected to. So once you have all of this in place, you can save, and also make sure that your vSphere, your virtual machine in vSphere, if this is a virtual machine, is connected to the suitable interface. So this interface should be connected to a specific VLAN or a physical interface or whatever your deployment is. Next, you will need to create the zone in between Expressway C and E. This zone can be created under configuration, zones, and zones. I have already created this zone because this is a live environment actually. Traversal zone. You will need to assign a name and choose unified communication traversal. The username and password, this you can place any username and password. This is only for verifying the zone. The port number needs to be configured as 7001. Keep everything as the default. These are all defaults. And in here you will need to add the Expressway E A record that we created earlier. Then click on save. Do the same thing on Expressway E. Zones, add a new zone, and then call it traversal zone. The type is also universal communication traversal. This is the username. You will need to add it here in the local database, and not like Expressway C, where you can put the username and password in here. The port is 7001. The TLS verify subject name is the A record of Expressway C. So Expressway C will be pointing to Expressway E, and vice versa. Expressway E will be pointing to Expressway C. Then you will save. If you still have problems with your traversal zone not going to active state, you need to do some troubleshooting. Expressway product has an amazing tools that are built in for troubleshooting under maintenance, tools, network utilities, As you can see, there is ping, trace route, trace path, and DNS lookup, for example. We can see if the record is not resolving well, for example, lookup, and as we can see, it is resolving well. Let's try Expressway E, and yeah, it's also resolving as well. You can try pinging, you can also check the ports that are being used currently by the server. Under port usage, inbound ports are ports that are being that the server is listening to at the moment. Outbound ports are the ports that are being accessed by the server, and remote listening ports are if you have a remote machine that is accessing the server, you can see what port it is coming from. At this state, if you have the traversal zone active in between the servers and you have configured everything as per plan, Jabber should be working from externally, from outside your corporation, as if it was inside the corporation. Let me show you how you can. So this is internally right now, but the Jabber client should be working just as if it was inside the corporation. This is all for Expressway MRA solution. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions or you need help with your troubleshooting, just write your comments down below and I can help you when I can. Thank you.